With the harmony window, you can have almost all the theory on a single screen. With this video, we are going to learn how to set it according to our needs and according to our device. The main characteristic of this window is that it has a quick settings panel that will save all the quick settings we create. To create a quick setting, we press the Quick Settings button to open the panel where these settings are managed. Once opened, the first thing to do is to familiarize ourselves with each of the options. Remember, if you long press a button in the app, a dialog will be shown with a description of what it does. So let's learn what are each of the buttons used for. The first one allows us to create a new quick setting. As we can see, that configuration has been created. Let's leave it selected, and let's go back to the panel to rename it. Let's say, Main Harmonization. You can name it as you wish. To change the type of this setting, we display the menu. There are several types that we will explain one by one. Scale shows you the chords of the current scale that you have selected. Negative scale, it shows you the chords of the current scale with its negative chords. This is what is called negative harmony. In the harmony lessons we explained this concept. Parallels, it allows you to show the chords of each of the modes of the current scale that you have selected. Palette, it allows you to have several scales to borrow chords from, to modulate, etc. Secondary dominant, shows you the secondary dominant chords of the current scale. Tritone substitute, shows you the substitute dominant chords for the current scale. Let's now select the option scale. The next thing to do is select the chords to show, and here we have three options. Harmonization, to show the basic chords of the scale. Main, to display almost all the chords in the scale. Watch. And finally, all, which is the same as the main chords, but also shows chords without the third, chords without the fifth and extended chords that are diatonic to the scale and also contain an interval other than a major ninth interval. If you don't understand the latest concept, in the harmony lessons we explain how extended chords are built. In the current setting only the triads appear. If we would like to have the seventh chords as well, we activate that option. And we see that now they are also shown. On the contrary, if we only want to show the ninth chords, we long press this option and see how the other options are deactivated. Don't worry if you see some very small letters. We will learn how they can be configured in a normal size. Let's now return to the Quick Settings panel. The next option below is how the scale degrees are ordered. This will allows us, for instance, if we want to emulate the circle of fifths, ordering the degrees by fifths. As we can see, now after the first degree of the scale it appears the fifth degree. The option below provides us the way to hide chords in case we only want to show some degrees of the scale. For example, we long press the first one, and only that scale degree will be shown. In the next option below, we're going to set the maximum number of columns per row. This way, if our device has a small screen, the letters of the chords are not so small. For example, let's select 4 columns. Notice that there are now a maximum of 4 columns per row. Finally, we have the Notes Theory option, which basically does the following. For example, let's change the key of the scale to a flat. Activate all the degrees, and set the chords to show as the harmonization option, and we will only see the triads. Let's order the grades consecutively, and make sure that the Notes Theory option is deactivated. The third degree of the scale is B major. If we activate the Notes Theory option, now we see that it changed to C flat major, which by staff theory is the correct name according to the intervals of the scale. Now let's explain the option Duplicate Chords. This option is important for several reasons. The first one is that if we choose the parallel scales option, choose only to show the triads and activate the option duplicate chords, you will notice that each mode shows its basic triad. Let's select the major scale and now notice that the chord of the first degree, mode 1 or Ionian mode, mode 4 or Lydian mode and mode 5 or Mixolydian mode, are the same. Also, if you press the chord, a blue dot appears above the name of the modes, that tell us this chord is built from those modes. Now, if we deactivate the option duplicate chords, see that now appears only one of those chords. And now when we press a chord, in addition to showing the blue dot on the modes that chord is built from, it will reorder the modes, starting from the modes that the chord are built from. The second reason is that, for example, let's activate the option scale, choose the option main as the chords to show, let's activate them all, and let's also activate the option duplicate chords, let's also set 4 columns to better read the name of the chords. We now look for the D minor 7th chord and show the instrument to learn its notes. After that, let us learn the alternative names of that chord. We can notice that this chord is also a F major 6th inverted. So let's search in the 4th degree of the scale, and we'll find the same chord in root position. If we invert the chord, we will see that it is the same D minor 7th chord in 3rd inversion, so we can conclude that the chord is duplicated. This is fine in some situations, but sometime it just adds more chords to the list. If we want to avoid the latter, and see only all the unique chords per scale, then we deactivate the option duplicate chords, and notice now that the chord is not longer in the list as a F major 6th chord. Notice that if we change the scale, all the configurations are updated, except the palette quick setting. They have to be updated manually. If we want to modify the key of all the scales on the palette, we must first select the palette and then change the key. If we change the key and we have not selected the palette, the other quick settings will be updated except the palettes.